بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أبنائي طلاب ثانوية الذرى المتميزين، السلام عليكم. درسنا لهذا اليوم هو ستوري تايم. عنوان القصة The Lucky Customer 50. Then Unit 1 Lesson 10 Lucky Customer 50. So we will describe Kareem, this student. Kareem is hard-working, quiet, and imaginative. So when we want to describe this student is hardworking, imaginative, and quiet. Here, his character. So Kareem's character, when you want to describe Kareem's characters, is hardworking, quiet, and imaginative. Kareem had been saving up for months. Okay, and before we start the lesson, I'd like to tell you here the summary of or the main points of the events in the story. Okay, so I wrote the main events in the story, okay, and we will discuss in details, okay, after the lesson. Now, Kareem had been saving up for months. Why? Why had Kareem been saving up for months? To be the first one to buy new book. So, he had been saving up for months. Why? To be the first one, the first person, okay, to buy the new book. Here the question, what is the new book Kareem wanted to buy? Here, Islands of Salt. Islands of Salt. So, Kareem is quiet, imaginative, and hardworking. He wanted to be the first one to buy the new book, Islands of Salt. So he had been saving up for months. His favorite poet, by his favorite poet. So who was Kareem's favorite poet? Kareem's favorite poet here, Muzaffar al-Nawab. So Muzaffar al-Nawab wrote Islands of Salt. Islands of Salt. So Kareem had read all of al-Nawab poems. His favorite poet, he liked him so much. So he was affected by him, he was influenced by him. And Kareem had read all of al-Nawab poems at least twice. And he found them very interesting. Kareem had read all al-Nawab poems, of al-Nawab's poems at least twice, and he found them very interesting. Now, he spent most of his time, as we said, he was imaginative, he is good at writing poems, and he spent most of his time. How did Kareem spend most of his free time? He spent most of his free time writing, reading, or writing his own poems. So he spent most of his free time, his spare time, okay, by reading and writing his own poems. Kareem's dream. What was Kareem's dreams? Everyone here, every student has a dream. Kareem's dream was to be a famous poet. So Kareem's dream was not to be, for example, a doctor or an engineer. Kareem's dream was to be a famous poet. Now, this imaginative student who liked al-Nawab poems, who loved al-Nawab's poems, and he read all of al-Nawab's poems at least twice, and he found them very interesting. His dream was to be a famous poet. Now, as we said, Kareem wanted to be the first one to buy the new book, Islands of Salt. He went to the bookshop, and the name of the bookshop is Al-Saki. When he arrived, he was surprised to see a long queue, forming outside the bookshop here. So he had to wait like the others, in order to reach the bookshop. The owner of the bookshop welcomed the queue of the customers in the bookshops. The owner of the bookshop, when the doors was opened, the customer came in, entered the bookshop. The owner of the bookshop welcomed the queue of the customers in the bookshop. And the customers began, buying as one after the other in a queue. But when Kareem got to the door, the owner suddenly rang a bell to declare, to announce. To declare what? To announce what? So here, surprise, surprise, surprise. And everyone starting clapping and cheering. Except Kareem. Kareem didn't know why all these people, clapping and cheering. Why all these people, are happy. Now, so here, the owner of the bookshop rang the bell. When Kareem got the door, and the customer, knew that Kareem was the customer 50, and here the customer 50 who lucky is or was the lucky customer. Everyone starting clapping and cheering. Kareem was very surprised. Why? And he didn't know. And he didn't know what was happening. What was happening? He didn't know. The owner of the bookshop explained, that Kareem was the lucky customer because, and there was a big prize for the customer 50. What was the big prize for the customer 50? Was what? Is to meet al-Nawabs. So here the main events in the story time, the title of the story time, Lucky Customer 50. And we have to answer these questions. Number 1, describe Kareem's character when you are asked, okay, to describe Karim's character. What was or what is Karim's character? Working, quiet, and imaginative. Number 2, okay, how long had Karim been saving and why? Why had Karim been saving up 4 months? How long had Karim been saving? Karim had been saving, okay, 4 months. Why? To be the first one to buy the new book. Number 3, what's the name of the new book Karim wanted to buy? Islands of Salt. Who wrote Islands of Salt? Very good. An-Nawab poems. Now, who was Karim's favorite poet? The same answer, and two questions have the same answer. Who was Karim's favorite poet? Of course, An-Nawab, Muzaffar An-Nawab. How many times had Karim read all An-Nawab's poems? How many times? Okay, here. And how did he find them? He read all An-Nawab poems at least twice and he found them very interesting. I think, okay, we repeated the word and it's better to write, okay, to be here, to be at, and he didn't know. Now, there is no space to write more questions. I have to clean it, okay, and write another questions, okay. Now, let's, okay, complete the questions about lucky customer 50. Number 6, how did Karim spend most of, okay, how did Karim spend most of his free time? How did he spend most of his free time? By playing football? Or by what? Very good. By reading or writing his own poems. Number 7, what was Karim's dream? What did Karim want to be in the future? So, Karim's dream was to be a famous poet. Question number 8. Who rang the bell when Karim go to the door? Who rang the bell? The owner of the bookshop. So the owner of the bookshop welcomed the queue of the customer in the bookshop. When Karim go to the door, the shop owner or the owner of the bookshop, the shop owner, the same, okay, suddenly rang a bell. So who rang the bell? The owner of the bookshop or the shop owner. Number 9. Why was Karim surprised? He was surprised. Why? Because he didn't know. Okay, what was happening. After that, the owner of the bookshop explained, okay, the situation. Now, the last question, the last one, what is the big prize for the customer 50? There was or there is a prize. What is the big prize? What's the big prize? To meet what? To meet Al-Nawab. So here to meet Arnold. We studied the most important questions about the lucky customers. I'd like you, to revise them, to read them, and wrote some notes about this story. And what did you benefit from this story? So there is a moral lesson. I'd like you to write your own opinions, about the story. And what does the title or what does the name of the book Islands of Salt mean? The writer, when he wrote, or the poet when he wrote Islands of Salt, he wanted to convey a message to the readers. I'd like you, to discover, to find out, the meaning of Islands of Salt. At the end of the lesson, I'd like you to enjoy your time, and goodbye.